Hi and welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast. The episode today is for you if you feel like you hate seeing in your kids something that either you don't like about yourself or about your spouse or maybe about your parents. And in your mind, it's genetics. This is the genetic destiny and somehow it's being given over to your kids from somebody. And you hate that. You can't stand that. It's triggering you. And that's additional reason, one more on top, why you cannot stay calm and respond to the situation or to your kids' behavior in a calm way. So how to clear that up? Because as long as you keep blaming it on the genetics, it's kind of a destiny. And so I have no control over genetics. I'm not a god. I can't change the genes of my children. So I'm doomed. And then therefore, it's justified that I keep being angry and something needs to change. Well, what if there was another way? And what if I told you that it has nothing to do with biology and genetics? If you would be open to considering that and having this kind of breakthrough and getting your power back rather than blaming it on things that you cannot control, taking your power back and looking, well, what is it? If I start looking at it from a different perspective, then what is the power and control that I can get back? And I can make this situation better. And I can support my children and having healthier reactions and healthier responses, being more kind and respectful, not like my narcissistic, abusive ex. Well, wouldn't that be amazing if your kids actually could stop being the victim of your judgment? Oops, here I said that. If you have enough courage to have a look at what's really going on under the surface, then let's go, let's talk. Hi, Supermom or Superdad. Alena here, your mommy tantrum specialist and the founder of the Zen Supermom system. And me and my team have helped hundreds of moms and dads start setting healthy boundaries with calm. And this is the first parenting podcast that is not about your kids, that shows you why none of the parenting techniques helped you stop yelling at your kids and how to control your emotions from jumping out so that you can be the safe, loving parent you wish you had growing up. This is the Zen Supermom podcast. If you like this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when the new episodes are out. Hi, my name is Alena, and I'm the founder of the Zen Supermom system, where we help busy moms and now even dads to, well, keep being busy with your life, but just don't take it out on your kids. Learn how to be a happy, calm, peaceful parent, no matter what. And part of that, because usually I hear all the classical reasons why I cannot be calm with my kids. Why do I need to yell at them? It's because they're not listening, they're fighting. It's my hormones. It's because I'm stressed out. I have too much to do. Don't have enough time to do it all. All the pressure and stress from the society, from the culture. And because I'm an expatriate, so I don't have any family around. And my ex is a whatever, something like, so many reasons. You're not making that up. I'm sending you a big hug if that's how much you're struggling right now. But usually one reason that I hear that comes on top and that I heard 3 times, and I was like, the third time I just heard it this morning, I was thinking, okay, this is enough. I got it, universe, whomever is talking to me, I got it. I need to make a podcast episode about it so that I don't have to keep re-explaining it every time there's a mom who comes to me and who complains about the genetics. So in 2 cases, just in the last 48 hours, I heard a mom come and tell me, I get it, so I need to clean up my anger, fine, but my daughter, my son, I have 2 kids. One of them is amazing and she's like me and she's so great and such a nice kid, not triggering me at all. But the other one, she's just like her dad and I see the narcissistic bug in her, or it's the genetics. She's the aggressive one and that's why she's triggering me so much. And you can feel the difference in the energy already, right? That was one case. In another case, there was a mom who was telling me, and that was in our group call. Hi there. You will know who I'm talking about. And she was saying, my son triggers me when he's doing the homework because I realize, like, I hate seeing in him what I have. Like my bad qualities, as if something I'm ashamed of, I gave it to him. So that's again genetics. I take it, I blame it on me, bad me. That makes me feel even more guilty as a mom. But because it's genetic, so therefore none of us can do anything about it. And we are victims of genetics and that's the way it is. So I just need to be at peace with my son having the same flaws as I do. Well, good luck with that. So this is what we are going to talk about today, because I would love for you to consider there's another way to look at it. And as always, also with my clients inside the program, this is already where the breakthrough happens. Even before I give you some practical super ninja tool to manage the situation and any tricks in communication or trauma healing or mental fitness, usually the first breakthrough happens when you shift your perspective and you realize that maybe what you thought was the truth, was the one and only possible reality, that actually maybe there are more ways to look at it and there's something completely else going on. What if that was the case here too? So, specific example, the one mom, and I was quite direct with her. I told her afterwards, wow, I admire you and your commitment for doing this work, because our conversation was not easy. I went quite direct. I was quite direct with her. It was an assessment call. And she came exactly to come and talk to me about, okay, I need help. I'm a yelling mom. This is why. This is what happened to me in my childhood. However, it is my daughter, and she's like genetically, she's just like her father. And so this is what makes it so hard for me. And I apologized for interrupting her. But I said, I can't let you continue this story. I'm sorry. And that's not usually what I do in assessment calls, right? If somebody comes to me asking for help, I usually listen, take notes, then I connect the dots for them and I tell them, does it make sense why you're getting angry? Does it make sense now, seeing the big picture from how I see it? Does it make sense why none of the therapy parenting courses could help you ever with that, because there's something else going on, right? This is usually what I do in assessment calls, but this one went different because when she started talking about her daughter and she basically judged her and blamed her for getting the genetics of her father, and therefore that's why she was so difficult. I was like, no, I'm sorry, I have to stop you right there. It's not your daughter. I'm sorry. And this is the insight, the aha moment she already got there before we got even into her childhood. What I explained to her and what I want you to understand. Okay. Yes, there's genetics, there's stuff, but they have even proven that even like ADHD and stuff, all of this is caused, many of these symptoms are an impact of a childhood trauma, not feeling heard, not being loved unconditionally, like without a list of conditions, really, rules. What makes you lovable? You're always in a nice mood. You never say no. You always listen the first time you ask. Blah, 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 blah. Very conditional approval, right? You had to fulfill a list of things. You had to change, modify, shrink, cut off pieces of yourself that were deemed unacceptable. And only then you could potentially feel a little bit worthy of being appreciated and loved by the people who were supposed to take care of you unconditionally, okay? All of this is generational, drip, 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 developmental trauma. This is what I explain in all of my free trainings. Sign up for one if you haven't seen it yet. Okay? I go in much more detail there. I want to continue and dig deeper a little bit on that. Because understanding this first piece, why we are angry, why things are happening, and that many of our current challenges, even as adults, even no matter what's happening with your kids, all of your stress, all of your communication with adult people, why it goes sideways it goes back to the same reason, back to the same roots. And this is exactly what was happening with this mom as well, and with her daughter. Because trauma is not what happened to you. It's how you processed it. That's why you can have even two kids in the same family going through the same experience, being treated, even if they were treated the same way by the parents, they can turn up differently. Example, me and my brother. I was the firstborn. I was the good girl. When he was born, the good kid place was taken, so he turned out to be the bad boy, the rebel boy. So my mom could say, she could be there saying, my daughter is nice, she doesn't trigger me because she's just like me. Congratulations, she gave me her hyperachiever, pleaser, controller, perfectionist trauma. Well done, mom. Okay, not here to blame her for anything, but for the sake of this example, you see, I didn't trigger her because she successfully passed on her trauma to me. So we had the same. We were not triggering each other. I grew up feeling not good enough and everything exactly like she did. Okay, so we completely understood each other. My brother, on the contrary, he took the pendulum of trauma from one extreme where I was with my mom, but those places were already filled. Like there was not much space to squeeze with us and for him to be the good boy because he could never compete with an older sister, right? Because I was a year and a half ahead of my development and my skills, so there's no way he could compete with me. So he took the trauma pendulum to the other side of the extreme and he became the rebel. So he got the mirror, basically. He mirrored the trauma and he became the selfish, I will call him names, I will put some labels. I don't really mean it, but for the sake of drama and showing up the difference. At the times when I was angry, I could call him selfish, narcissistic, not caring, lazy, just enjoying the ride, letting everybody make them feel guilty, be the Raja, we sometimes made fun of it, like the macho king, and you servants run around me, because that's how we were raised in a way, yeah? And my mom tried to push him and to do more, but he always managed to manipulate her into make her feel guilty so that she would stop and he could be there in his, I don't want to say lazy, spoiled thing, but yes, that's how I felt growing up. My brother was spoiled. He didn't have even 10% of responsibilities that I used to have. But you see what I'm talking about, the pendulum? Woo! So my mom could be there and could say, my daughter, she's so nice, she doesn't trigger me, but my son, he has the genetics of his father. Nah. What was really going on was that based on her childhood trauma, my mom chose a guy who was the mirror. And that's why they say complements attract each other, right? And we already had some podcast episode about the relationship dynamic, why you chose the partner you did. Because unless both of you were already healed and evolved enough and have done enough self-work so that you would be whole, unconditionally loving each other, separately, yourself separately, and then you met and created a union, not out of lack and fear of not being good enough, but out of unconditional love and feeling good enough yourself, then you find a matching partner. That's not what most of the people do, right? Especially not in their first relationship, not even in the second one. Usually what people do is based on their trauma, based on where they feel not good enough, they find somebody who can fill that hole. That might come across as a weird thing to say in relationships, but that void, yeah? Usually your trauma makes you feel like you're not good enough, you're not feeling secure, you're not self-confident in many ways, so then you choose somebody who can make you feel at least a little bit better. That's usually who people end up in a relationship with. And so often, sometimes you don't even love the other person, but because they show you their affection and they make you feel good about that thing that you hate about yourself, or at least they can ignore it for long enough for you to get into a relationship with them. That's why people end up being together, right? So then imagine this is a match made in heaven, right? People-pleasing, self-sacrificing, hyperachieving woman whose trauma is not feeling good enough, so she will be there muscling her way through life just to prove I'm so independent, I can take care of myself, and look, I don't need anybody's help. Well, this is exactly who those men who have been spoiled by their moms, because their moms did everything for them, again, just not to feel, I'm not a good enough mom, I need to prove I'm a good enough mom, I will do everything for my son so that he loves me because my husband doesn't, so I need to get at least the love of my son, so I'm going to spoil the heck out of him so that at least there's somebody who loves me because my life is screwed up. I sacrificed my life to be a mom, so at least I need to make sure this child loves me. So they spoil their sons. And then, of course, this guy who grew up not having to lift a finger at home, because there was always somebody who did things for him, who solved his problems, who made him feel like he's the Maharaja, he's the macho, who boosted his ego. Yes, my son, you're so amazing. Of course, he will love to meet and live with this people-pleasing, self-sacrificing, I can do it all by myself woman, because they perfectly match. She will do everything for him, and he will admire her. You're such a strong, independent woman, just like my mom used to be. I admire you so much. Boom! Here you have it. Generational trauma cycle repeats from generation to generation, from one layer of parents into the layer of kids, and this is exactly what your kids will continue doing. So, let's continue the example. Now, these two get together, they have kids, and if they have more than one, well, even if they have one, most of the time, depending on the gender, the child subconsciously will just take on the trauma of the same gender parent. So totally normal. For me, I took on the thing from my mom because I self-identified as a girl, woman to a girl. I took over her stuff. And also because parents push the gender trauma from generation to generation. They have different expectations from girls than they have from boys, right? Boys, don't cry, don't show emotions, man up. You're the one who's supposed to not ask questions, not ask for help, and do it by yourself, usually. And girls, just like you're too weak, don't even try mathematics, like you're not smart enough and you're so pretty. Just like, look, what a beautiful dress you have. Yeah, play with the dolls and cook them some meal to your dolls, but don't think too much about like robots and trains. You're playing with toys and like with cars and like, what are you doing? So much of cultural crap, if I can call it this way, right? So we push often the gender stereotypes to the kids, and that's what already pushes them in those respective trauma lanes as well. But then even this mom, I think she had 2 girls, yeah? Or I met parents who had like 2 girls, 2 boys, and they can still choose a different side of the trauma, because if one parent is taken, they take the trauma of the other parent, just for the sake of keeping the balance in the family, right? So this is what this mom was telling me yesterday. My daughter, and it's the genetics, it's like, it's from her father. She didn't even say from her, like from my husband. She said it's her father, so that she could disconnect from taking the responsibility for having kids with this man in the first place. So this is what I put back in her face, yeah, basically, in a quite direct way. She took it well. I was a little bit worried afterwards, and I apologized. I'm like, sorry, you're not here for me to to tell you what your life is. I felt I had to protect your daughter from your judgment, because that was absolutely not fair. So I explained to her, this is what's happening. You chose a guy based on your trauma because you complemented each other's void, each other's insecurities. So that was your decision to have kids with this guy. And then you gave your own generational trauma to one of them. And through you not having any boundaries, like, please, let's own our stuff, yeah? She was a people pleaser, meaning her parents didn't allow her to have any boundaries. They didn't teach her how to say no when things are getting like too much for you. They didn't teach her that she has the right to say no, because her parents went all the way in with demands and time pressure and stress, and they didn't ask what she thought about it, what she wanted. Classic, right? So she didn't know how to set boundaries. Classic people pleaser, self-sacrificing martyr victim. So then one kid complied, was nice, not triggering, because one kid turned out to be the people pleaser as well. But this girl, she rebelled against it. She was like, okay, Mom says yes one day, other day no. So let me see how far I can push it to get what I want. Because it seems like there are no boundaries. It's fluffy. One day it's this, one day it's this. And if I just scream and yell enough, I always end up getting what I want. So let me go for it. Why not? So she did. So again, yes, this girl saw it maybe from the father. But then, if she had a healthy, healed mom, the mom would have seen it what it is, and without judging, blaming, shaming the girl for being nasty, manipulative, aggressive, whatever, she would have been able to see and recognize it's a normal part of development of any child to go and test the limits, push the boundaries, and see really how serious are you? How, is your word worthy? Can I count on the integrity of your word? If you say really no today, are you still going to say no tomorrow, even if I yell enough? They are testing you, your integrity. What is your word worth? And whenever they see any weakness in that you're not so sure about your own rules, that you bend your rules, or that you do not apply the rules for yourself as you do for them, that you tell them no chocolate after dinner, but then you go and binge on some sweets when they are not looking, they see everything. Then they will take advantage of it. Yes, they will call you out. And they will keep pointing out at your, how do you call it, inconsistencies. Yeah, in your word, right? So a healthy mom who is aware of this would have been able to set the boundaries and consistently say, this is okay and this is not okay. Not blaming you, my child. I get it. You're trying. If I was a kid, I would want to keep asking for the same thing too. I completely get it. It makes sense. But these are the boundaries. And creating safe container. I always talk about healthy boundaries with natural consequences. What that means, like the image that I have in mind, is an open field with mantinels, with a fence around it, yeah? So that inside, I don't want to be the police controlling mom telling my kid, go exactly here 1 meter and then 1 meter here, and you're not allowed to move in any other way. No, my child, this is your playing field. Go there, have fun and do whatever, because I know that inside it's safe, and whatever happens inside, I can deal with it and she can deal with it. But around that safe space, it's a fence that she cannot get out of. And if she does, and if she tries to cross the fence, there's a consequence, which means either the next time the fence gets closer so that you don't reach that boundary, or that I will have to be there guiding you inside because you can't do it safely on your own. Or maybe next time you're not even going to get there, or your time will be limited because you're showing me you're not mature enough to handle your freedom inside those boundaries. Okay? So this is just like a high-level generic example of what boundaries are. And inside, within those boundaries, inside that playing field, you give your child as much freedom as possible so that they don't feel controlled, so that they don't feel like too much observed. And I don't know how they call it, helicopter parenting. Like the parent is always there and watching and criticizing, commenting every move of the child. It's like, no, let them be. Once they're inside a safe container, let them be. Let them spend the time they want, how they want it. Yeah? But if they start touching the boundaries, which they will go and touch to see, is this boundary solid? Is it really there? Because one day if they can get out of the boundary, of course they will come and test in other places different, and all the time they will be testing. Like, is it really solid? It's a normal situation. Once you're a healthy parent, you understand this. You will expect them to push the boundaries and you'll be like, I see you coming. Good try. But no, this is still a boundary. And you can do it with a calm energy, with a smile on your face. Yes? This is the difference. This is why I want us to stop blaming our kids. Let's stop putting labels on them as you're narcissistic, you're manipulative, you're just like your father, and then you put and project the anger that you have towards the other person, an adult who hurt you in the past maybe, who still is hurting you now. Stop projecting that anger and frustration onto your kids. They absolutely do not deserve that. And even more importantly, it takes away the power from you and the responsibility. You basically remove the responsibility for your actions and your behaviors and for cleaning up your own trauma by blaming it on them, right? And the second important point I want you to take away from this podcast episode is really how trauma then goes into these opposite extremes. That it's not about that one of your kids is evil and the other one is a saint. It's not. It's just that most likely one of them has your trauma that's compatible with yours, so they don't trigger you because they're exactly screwed up the same way that you are. And the other one is has gone to the opposite extreme. None of these extremes are healthy. You both of your kids need help, and you. It starts with you. Because once you heal, once you understand and try to see from this perspective that I'm offering to you, I'm not saying this is the truth and listen to me preaching here. Go and explore it on your own. Go and do your own inquiry and like curious scientist observation now that you might start seeing it differently. Yeah, do your observations. But this is the goal, that you get to the healthy middle. No more of this pendulum swinging from the extreme to extreme, right? Because you can see it even now, and this is the last drip, the mom who I spoke today, who told me exactly the same thing with her kids when the pendulum of opposites. And she told me, like, my sister is the one who's the nice one. I'm the one who got the aggressive genes from my father. And she was basically expressing the sentiment that she's jealous of her sister in a way, or that she's happy for her sister because her sister was not traumatized this way. Her sister is not the angry one. Her sister is the one who can keep calm. And I was telling her, no, look what's happening. Your sister is the one who got the pleaser trauma from your mom. Yeah. So congratulations to her. You are doing your best to do the same because you keep asking your kids 10 times nicely, do something, do this, do that, 10 times, 100 times nicely. So again, this is not a healthy way of handling it. If your kids don't respond, if they don't cooperate the first time, second time you ask, like, change the strategy. It's not working. It doesn't help asking 10 times more, right? So she was being the pleaser herself as well, with no boundaries, no consequences, asking 10 times the same thing. And only then, when that didn't work, she swung the pendulum all the way to the other extreme, started yelling just like her father did. So she has been walking around her life thinking, I'm the unlucky one because I got the genetics of my father and I'm aggressive, I'm yelling, I'm the yeller. And my sister is the nicer one because she's just like mom. She's so calm and so happy. Please no, see it. Those are the opposite extremes, two sides of the coin of the same trauma. It just shows up in a different way. None of them is healthy. And both this lady and her sister need help. Yes? Does that make sense? Let me know. Send me a message. Let me know if this is like, boo, my mind has been blown today. Let me know what you got out of this episode. And whenever you're ready to go and heal it for you, for your intimate relationships, and for your kids, most importantly, then reach out. This is exactly why I'm here. Take very good care, generational trauma breaker. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye. Want to know why those gentle parenting techniques are not working for you? Where is that uncontrollable anger that you feel with your kids? Where is it coming from? Then download this mini book. I prepared it for you, busy, loving, but yelling supermom or super dad. Because no, it's not about learning more parenting techniques. It's not about doing classic talk therapy. It's not about more self-care time so that you can de-stress. No, there's something deeper going on. It's not even about your kids. So I compiled this mini book out of my most successful 1 hour long live training that I'm doing. I compressed it in just a few pages so that you can learn these 2 keys that you need to be able to stay calm with your kids, no matter how stressed you are, no matter how much they are pushing your boundaries, so that you know what it's going to take for you to stay calm and set healthy boundaries without yelling. Want to know how? Get that mini book now.